What's up guys, Goat Rodeo Gaming here, back with another map for Transport Fever 2. This map is called The Railways of Utah. So we're here in Ogden. The year's 1985 per usual, but you can always change that. Right here we have the UP's Evanston sub coming into Ogden. So that would be running east, this would be running south. Here's the edge of the Great Salt Lake. So let's jump into this now that you got a little bit of context. So this would be the UP's main line running west of here. This simulates the line running over the Great Salt Lake. Obviously we can't do that. You can also simulate the Southern Pacific's line going across the Great Salt Lake. It just depends how you want to do it. So first I want to run you down through Utah, and then this map encompasses part of Wyoming as well, so stay tuned. So I wanted to do a little intermodal facility, or I guess specifically for intermodals to swap cargo. So this is the Ogden Distribution Center. This is where stack trains, Z trains will come. Since it's 1985, we have the Union Pacific and the Rio Grande railroads on this map. So they'll come here, swap freight and whatnot. Meanwhile, over here, we have the UP's Ogden yard. So this is for manifest, right? We have their locomotive facilities here for Ogden. I did want to include some assets, but the map was starting to get a little slow if I started putting rail cars and stuff everywhere. So I'll let you guys do that. It could just be my computer. My computer, I think, is starting to get a little old. So we got the UP's yard right here on the left side of the freeway. Then on the right side of the freeway, we have the Rio Grande's Ogden manifest yard. You can see, put some assets down over here so that you guys would know between the two. Come over this way, plenty to do. There's a refinery, food processing plant, lumber, tools, and basically this is sand that comes out of here, but that's to simulate the different types of minerals and stuff that come off, that they mine from the Great Salt Lake, I should say. So we're gonna run south. This is the main line through here, is this right here. So we're running south through here. So this is basically joint track UP Rio Grande through this region. This is Salt Lake City itself. We have some industries as well. Oil refinery, we got another oil refinery over there. Plastics, got some depots to deliver to the cities. We also have Amtrak that comes through here as well. Rio Grande Salt Lake City yard, so you can work locals and all that. So come out this way. This is, I think, Salt Lake City Lake, I believe is what this is called. It's a smaller lake that is not part of the Great Salt Lake. So right here we have the UP splitting to the right, the Rio Grande splitting to the left. So we'll go down the UP, it ends up here. So this is basically the UP's, one of their lines that heads down towards Las Vegas. Now further on there's another line that joins up with it, and then that's the main line that goes to Vegas. But since we have this part of the map, this is our portal for that. UP to Las Vegas is the name. We have an industry over here you can connect to, siding, and then the UP has a little yard here in Provo, which is right here. So now I'll show you this. This is basically just a industry that comes from the original map. So this is actually a map I have already made, but I made a ton of tweaks to it. I made this probably, I don't know, a year, 2 years ago. And since then I've really improved my maps. So I wanted to come back to this, revisit it, and make a bunch of tweaks. This game comes with all the track pre-laid, where the other original Utah map did not. So this is basically from the original map. It's just a coal input, so nothing special there. Over here we have the Rio Grande's manifest yard for Provo, and then on this side would be coal hopper storage, and then we have an Amtrak station, and then once again we have small locomotive facilities here in Provo. We have a connector here like they do in real life. The UP can also deliver freight here. Then we have the Heber City branch for the Rio Grande. We'll go up that here before we go up towards Soldier Summit. We got another little branch that goes to Springville for the Rio Grande. So you come up this way through this canyon. Pretty cool little canyon that you go up in real life. Nice little lake up here. And then we got Heber City, or however you pronounce that correctly. I could be completely wrong. Come back down. Alright, now we're leaving Provo on the Rio Grande's main line. And through this section, the main line actually splits. You basically have a northbound / westbound track and a southbound / eastbound track. All one directional coming through here. And you go up a really beautiful canyon for some ways all the way up to Soldier Summit. So that's what I did. I added there's a lot of orange through this canyon, so I added a lot of your typical Utah orange type rock. We got the highway coming through here now. So just made a ton of tweaks to it. It's not completely a new map, but it's pretty close. I spent probably 4 days revamping this map. So along this route you do have this kind of cliffside mountain, and then you have this big mound that they tunnel through, and it is double track, but it's 2 separate tunnels. So that's what I wanted to include here. It is double track all the way up to Soldier Summit, and then double track down the backside to Helper. I'm not completely sure on the history of this line, but I do know in the past it was a very busy line for the Rio Grande. It was their main line coming out of Salt Lake City going to Colorado and beyond to their system. So a lot of coal coming through here, manifest, and I think they even had some Z trains that came through here, but not any like intermodal stack trains like we see today. So the Rio Grande, they kind of built these interesting sidings. So it's double track, but then goes to a siding within the double track. So right here in this section they had one of these, so I made sure to build one and include it. I would assume that it was for, you know, slower manifest trains or coal trains being able to pull out of the way for a Z train or something of that sort. Then you kind of have this horseshoe curve. If you guys are familiar with this area of railroading, this is a pretty iconic spot. Then we go back to double track. Then it keeps winding up. Does another horseshoe curve. Zoom out a little bit so you can see it all. Then it just kind of follows the mountain all the way to Soldier Summit. So this is something that was not on the original map. Like I said, there was no tracks laid on the original. So I tweaked this whole area because I really wanted to include the basic route and how it goes through the mountains right here. It came out really good. It's on a constant grade. So just trying to make it as accurate as I can for you guys. And this is basically where Soldier Summit is. There's a Y up here. There's an extra couple tracks. So not a whole lot going up here though. It's more of like a valley. So I tried to depict that a little bit. I've been in this area myself several times. I should say that this is probably my favorite area of railroading in the country. And it's nice that I've been there a few times. So now we're descending down the back side of Soldier Summit. This is the steeper side. As you can see, there's a few trees that spawned, so I'm just going to delete those as I go along as I see them. For some reason they don't appear at first, so I like to jump out later, in my game at least. So this is the steeper side, like I said, of Soldier Summit. From Helper to Soldier Summit gets real steep, and that is the case in this game too. It's a steeper grade than the other side. Then once again we have the main line split to 2 dual tunnels, which this is a realistic portion of the route. We also have the freeway cutting through and coming down, meeting us back up. Come down to this canyon, and then we have the Utah Railroad that splits, so I'll show you that first. So here's the Utah Railways helper yard. We have a manifest yard, which would be these 3-4 tracks, and then over here would be like a coal hopper storage on the other side. From looking at Google Photos and Google Maps and all that, that's what it seemed like it was from the looks of it. So that's what I did. So then we come through here. There is a tunnel here in real life, and then there's a pretty neat bridge that spans across. It's not as high as this one, but that's just how it worked out. And there isn't any rails that go up this canyon anymore, but there used to be a bunch of coal mines that the railroad serviced up here, so I just decided just to lay it for fun. You guys can turn that into anything you want. These days there's nothing left up in here, but you could see where it branched off before. Got another tunnel, and then we come into this coal mine right here. This is basically just a loading area, nothing special. This is a real coal loading area. I believe that this isn't used as of a couple years ago, but on my map it is. So then basically it just keeps winding back and forth, and then it dead ends at something that does not exist anymore. So I just let it be, but back in the day this was a coal mine, so you can always fire that back up if you want. But this is just a little depiction of the Utah Railways line that runs through here. It actually runs quite some ways through some beautiful territory. So I've been back in there jeeping and off-roading and stuff before. So now we're back on the Rio Grande coming in the helper. So I built the helper yard pretty accurately. We have the locomotive staging area and maintenance. We got 2 helper sets right here on standby. This is where they would store coal cars, this portion of the yard, and then over here was more of the manifest portion. Now they primarily use it for manifest car storage, box cars, stuff like that. But back in the day, this was the side that used the manifest. So you kind of have a pretty interesting situation here. You got a Y, you got this kind of mound right in the center, and then you have basically a yard lead that comes out through here. So that's helper. Once again, we got a passenger station as well. So Amtrak runs through here. So come down this way and it descends down into the lower desert. And then right before Price, Utah, there's another coal mine that runs off this direction. So that's what we got here. Come back to the main line. Now from helper down, it's pretty much all single track all the way until Grand Junction. So we're back on single track. We got Price. We also have I included the Price River Crude Oil Terminal. This is a real industry where the railroad still services to this day. Up over here we got Wellington, and then there's a branch line that runs up into the mountains. It's much longer in real life, but I decided to include it anyways. They don't use it anymore, so I left it kind of blank, but like I said, you guys could always fire it back up. Do some research, check out what they used to do, and then you can use it. So we come down to this portion between Wellington and Green River, and it's a really neat section because you got like these stair steps where there's some steep portions, but then it flattens out, and then it gets steep again. So it looks really cool in pictures and video. I've seen a few of it, pictures from this area. It's really neat. So I try to do my best to recreate this. All single track through here. There is some sidings in real life, so might be able to squeeze another siding in, but I try to keep it realistic spacing with the sidings. So I think the task for this section of railroading is keeping it single tracked while delivering as much cargo as you can. It's still single track to this day, and there's really not that much freight traffic anymore, unfortunately. So then we got the Green River here, hence Green River, Utah. We start climbing up a grade to where Thompson, Utah is located up in here. It's not on this map. It's basically an old rundown ghost town. It's kind of cool to go past, and then Moab would be out this way. So this is just a little depiction of that. And then we come into Grand Junction. So this would be the east side of the map. Rio Grande East Portal, so going towards Denver. So obviously a lot of freight coming out of here, and a few things here within town. And then the end of the Amtrak line right here. So we'll go over this kind of quickly so you can see it in its full glory, and then we'll go check out the UP's line through Wyoming. So overall, really happy with the changes that I made. I think it came out really good. It's much more accurate to the real thing. Come back up here, Salt Lake, Ogden. Alright, so this is technically the UP's Advanced subdivision. So we'll come through here. Kind of climbs through. I've never been this way in real life, but looking at the terrain, topography, or whatever you call it. I can't pronounce words sometimes. But, just from doing some research, this was kind of the best depiction of it. Now, like I said, this portion of the map was made about a year or two ago. So I decided to leave this the same. Not try to tweak it too much, but I did add some detail here. I did add the rails. So the UP's main line is double tracked. So you can run mass freight on this one. Here's Advanced itself. Have a little third track here so you can deliver freight. I'll explain the different routes that come with this game as it is. Then we come down here towards Green River, Wyoming. So there's a Green River, Utah, and a Green River, Wyoming. So this is kind of a neat area. I've actually been to Green River, Wyoming myself. And you know, it's a lot of kind of deserty cliffs, but with rolling grass hills. It's a really unique looking area, but it's pretty cool. I enjoyed it. So we're just kind of following it down here. We got a grade coming out of Green River that goes all the way up until there. So there's a little bit of a climb. Coming to Green River, Wyoming. Once again, a third track so you can deliver freight. If it ever gets big enough, you can always run a track off of this into town. And then we basically come to the UP's East Portal, where a lot of freight comes through. This is the UP's, one of the UP's big main lines going east to west. So kind of utilize the 3-track kind of siding system just so you can get a lot of trains in and out. So as you can see, there's 3 different lines, 3 different tracks, so that'll help the congestion once you get a lot of trains running. So we'll go back to Ogden and I'll explain the routes. We'll start with the UP, then we'll move to the Rio Grande. So first off, we have 2 separate UP Advanced subs based on the type of train it is. So we have one for Intermodal, which goes to this distribution facility right here. We have one for Manifest, which runs to the UP's Manifest yard. So that's basically the Advanced sub. We also have this run through Z train, so you can add several Z trains onto this. Z train being the highest priority, UPS packages, Amazon packages, along with certain containers and goods. It's an intermodal train, but it's special. So this runs all the way through from the east side to this portal right here. It doesn't stop, it just goes in between the two. Then we have the UP's Sharp sub and the UP's the UP's Sharp sub and the UP's Manifest sub. So once again, it's just Manifest trains and regular intermodal trains that just run from these 2 yards, depending on what type of train it is, to that portal. So you'll probably only need 1 train for each, 1 Manifest and 1 intermodal doing that. So let's move to the Rio Grande. It's a little bit more complicated. So basically what I set up is we have the Durango Salt Lake City to Denver Z train, which they did have. So that runs out of here Ogden Distribution Center and goes all the way to Grand Junction without stopping. Then we have the Rio Grande Salt Lake City hauler, which is a manifest train. If you're not familiar what a hauler is, it's just basically a manifest train that's not a local, but it's not a train that goes several hundred miles. It's just basically delivers cars to a smaller yard or yards en route to where it terminates. But they're typically a full-size manifest train, so sometimes it's hard to distinguish the difference if you're just, out train watching or whatever. So this Salt Lake City hauler services the manifest here in the manifest yard, which will service these industries for the locals. It makes a stop here in Salt Lake City, picks up, drops off freight for this area to be distributed on locals, and then it terminates here in Provo. Okay, now we have, I believe, a second hauler. Just the Green River sub, that's right. I've done so many things in this map, I can't keep up. So the green, which that's not green, that's Grin. Boom. The Green River sub, this is for manifest, runs between Grand Junction, so the east side of the map, and Provo. So that'll be the other side of the manifest for the Rio Grande. So basically, these two will exchange freight for the manifest to get all the way through the whole map for the Rio Grande. So then we have different coal trains. The Rio Grande Savage Coal. We have UP Coal, Rio Grande to UP, which means that it comes off this and then delivers to that station. But the Rio Grande will be the power. So it's a Rio Grande train that interchanges with the UP, but it's just there to unload coal, so it's not that big of a deal. And then I included these different yard jobs for the smaller yards, like there's a helper yard job, there's a Provo yard job, all that kind of stuff. The only thing I didn't program in was the locals themselves. So any locals coming into here, you can technically make one local that services all these, or you can have several different trains servicing all these. It's up to you. I wanted to leave that up to you guys. I just wanted to give you guys a good base system of transferring the cargo and distributing it everywhere it needs to go. Oh, let's run through here real quick and see if there's anything else I need to add. We do have the Utah Railroad coal train programmed in here, which services this coal mine, since this is on the Utah Railroad, and then runs all the way up, and then I believe it dumps it off here. So there's no Utah Railroad locomotive skins for this game. So what I'll probably do is just pick something that's not a Class 1 railroad, and that's not the Rio Grande or the UP especially. So that will act as the Utah Railroad. So we do have that. And there is some manifest stuff for the Utah Railroad. Got some fuel you can deliver. Then you can always add some other stuff here as well. So then you can have, let's say, a manifest train for the Utah Railroad itself. Now these yard jobs, which you can see right here, those are there to distribute cargo within the yard as trains, manifest trains come in and out, leaving different directions. And we'll also have a local at some point that delivers freight to here and maybe even here as well. So just a lot of different things to keep in mind. So for those of you that have played this map before, I hope this is a big upgrade for you guys. Let me know what you think. And same thing for the guys that haven't played this map at all. If this is your first time seeing this, like I said, it's a major upgrade. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Share this video with anybody you think that might find this interesting or enjoy this map. Thanks as always. I'll probably continue to make a few little tweaks before I release this map, but it's basically in its final state. So subscribe, like, comment, tell me what you think, join our Discord. Thank you guys for following. I hope you enjoy this. We'll talk to you later.